Ulster and the Stormers, folks, 35-5. That's a wee bit of a hiding. We are going to go through some key stats and events and whatnot, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Fortunately, my house is not underwater, despite the horrendous one summer of rain that fell in one day yesterday here in Auckland. It's been pretty bad. But, what was good was watching some rugby. I do think we are seeing a little bit this season of the South African sides having to juggle the commitments of the Champions Cup as well. We saw it a couple of weeks ago with the Sharks sending less than a full-strength side to play Connacht, and I think the same is kind of true with the Stormers missing a few names against the Ulster boys. Obviously, with the Six Nations on the horizon, a lot of teams will be having to shift their sides up, but still, Ulster were looking pretty good, and it's good for them because they haven't had the best recent time, but I mean, I guess it looks like Ulster's starting to bounce back, so kind of pleasing for them to get out of a bit of a rut. I should say as well, the crowd was phenomenal. The crowd was really getting behind everything, even when the Stormers scored a last-minute kind of consolation try, and they missed the conversion. Man, they were giving the guy, I think it was Wallato who missed the kick, like a bit of stick. They were fully into it the whole game, which just makes the game more pleasing. I'm not saying it in a bad way. It's fun. They're into the game, right? That's kind of what you want to see. Didn't start well for the Stormers with JJ Kotze having to go off on a stretcher, and Benny having to come on despite him not being, have a lot of rugby under his belt, coming back from an injury. So not great from the Stormers. Their depth already being tested, and a bit of a messy kind of first 10 minutes, but we do see eventually the Ulster boys, when they get some phases going, they're a pretty tough team, and some really quick ball to the point where the Stormers defenders couldn't get back to the sides of the ruck, and Nathan Doak, if you give him that opportunity, he will certainly have the awareness to take that space, and he has a wee snipe. He goes over, so 7 points to 0. And about 10 minutes later, not even, Moxham gets the next one, and it's all Ulster. The Stormers at this point aren't really in the game. I mean, Doak does well to change the direction of the play again when they've got quick ball. I think it's Moore who does the quick tip pass to Moxham, and it's 14-0. Starting to look pretty hairy for the Stormers. Gets worse when Rus goes off injured, so the battle between him and Vermeulen didn't really get to eventuate because Rus didn't really last more than kind of 20 minutes. There was a line out on half an hour, and I had to write this down because they hadn't had much going on. For the Stormers, just outside the Ulster's 22. It was their first real chance at the game. They won the line out. Ulster didn't contest. They shifted it wide, and eventually they knocked it on. The Stormers pretty guilty of some poor handling in this one. And after seemingly blowing a chance before half-time, the Ulster guys out wide, they went back for advantage, and the forwards managed to finish off a move through Nick Timoney. The TMO did have to check it because he didn't have a grounding, but the ref, when asked by the TMO, and it's Mike Adamson, so he never sounds sure. He always sounds a bit unsure, which is not a great look for a ref. You kind of want to have that authoritative voice, but the TMO asks him, "Did you have a grounding on field?" And Adamson's reaction is, which he follows up with Coley had a grounding, like his touch judge. So on-field grounding is fine, 21-0. It's just Mike Adamson always sounds like he's not sure of himself. So halftime, man, Ulster's had 58% possession, 58% territory, 274 run meters to 142, and 6 clean breaks to 0. So when I say it's been one-sided, it's been one-sided. The second half, man, the Ulster kicking game is still causing all kinds of problems for the Stormers at the back. Gets worse for them, the Stormers, when Ben Jason Dixon gets yellow carded for a high tackle on Lowry. That's a bit of a mismatch in terms of sizes. The ref says it's kind of chest and rides up. And Ulster managed to punish them immediately. I think it's Hume who ends up with a line break, and he one-hand passes it to Jeff Tumunga-Allen, who seems to enjoy scoring a try. Jeff Tumunga-Allen is enjoying his rugby, so it's the bonus point, 28-0. Hume, though, speaking of him, did get penalised for a high tackle of his own, which gave the Stormers a wee chance to again get some field position in the right area of the field. But Dwayne Vermeulen wins a turnover. He had a pretty good game, man. Like, for people who are saying Dwayne Vermeulen is, is past his expiry date, nah, he had a pretty good shift. And back down the other end of the field, Lowry gets the last try for Ulster. Some great hands. Vermeulen involved in that one as well. I think it was Moxham too. So 35-0 is looking like an absolute hiding, as I said. But interestingly, that's the end of the scoring. Like, if you're an Ulster fan or the Ulster coaches, you may be looking at the fact that between 56 minutes and 80, there's no scoring, which is maybe a little bit of a drag, given how well they were in control of the game. I get it, though. Like, when you're that far ahead, it's sometimes, it's harder to keep, being as ruthless. It's natural that teams take the foot off the gas a little bit. And Gordon Zulu was trying to play things on his own at times. He got a nice line break, but ended up with the Stormers losing the ball. They did, as I said, get that last consolation through Andre Hugo Fenta on 76 minutes. Maybe the Ulster defence was a little bit soft for that one, but 35-5, like I mentioned, the conversion was missed. And that's kind of all she wrote for that one. So, bit of a weird game in that the Stormers changed as many players as they did. But Ulster, having not had the greatest recent form, I think did pretty well to to pile on some points and get themselves a bonus point. Good confidence boosting one, albeit they maybe weren't as cutthroat as they could have been. So possession finishes 46-54. Likewise, the territory 44-56. So the Stormers in the second half actually had a fair chunk of the ball. Run meters finished 459 to 393. Defenders beaten 26-19. So Ulster still edge all these numbers. Clean breaks 9-2. The Stormers' tackling percentage is 82, which is a touch low. The Ulster guys are at 88, which is a wee bit high, but they had to make more tackles, 163 to the Stormers 122. Lowry, 105 run meters, 9 defenders beaten, still proves himself to be a handful. Ngona Zulu, 73 meters and 7 defenders beaten, likewise, also a bit of a handful. Dwayne Vermeulen wins 3 turnovers. Moxham has 4 clean breaks. Hume has 2. Ben Jason Dixon is the game's top tackler, despite spending some time in the naughty boys chair. 18 tackles from him in a losing shift. But there you go. You guys let us know your thoughts. What do you reckon about this one? As I said, we've seen certainly the Sharks juggle their squad, the Stormers juggle their squad. I remember one week when the Bulls were in the Champions Cup, they still won when they played like a real kind of secondary string team. So it's a factor. Whereas last year the Stormers and the South African teams were able to put all their focus on the URC. They've now got the whole multiple competitions thing to juggle, so it is interesting. But you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.